When giving feedback to the performer, several things need to be considered to ensure that the feedback is beneficial. The first thing is the person themselves. Some people may have low confidence levels, so need to consider this and construct the feedback in a way to suit them. If they are unconfident in their performance, then I need to be careful that I don't damage their confidence even more by giving harsh criticisms. To do this, a positive framework should be used. By giving the feedback of what to improve in between positive comments of praise, then this would boost their confidence and help in their performance. Whereas if someone is confident in their performance and not so sensitive to feedback, then, although they should still be praised for what they do well, it is not as important to be careful about damaging their confidence, as they are not as sensitive. The feedback should also be constructive and focus on ways in which they can improve rather than saying what they did badly. This ensures that they know how they can improve and also won't begin to feel unconfident in their performance, as they know that they can still improve it. Some performers may also be in denial of their weaknesses and refuse to acknowledge that they need to improve in some areas. If this is the case, then the feedback should include lots of evidence so they can see the facts of where the weaker areas are. When collecting data, there are many factors that could influence a performer's performance. Therefore, I should be mindful when drawing conclusions from the data collected, because it may not represent the performer's true performance. Something that could influence a performance is nerves from being watched. If they know that they are being watched, then they may become anxious, which could cause them to perform worse than they normally do. Furthermore, this may be emphasised by evaluation apprehension, because they may become nervous that they are being evaluated, so change their performance. Other external factors that could affect their performance is potential personal issues, perhaps with their family, causing them to not perform so well on that day, as they are occupied with other things. Furthermore, sleep, nutrition, muscle fatigue, and the motivation that they have could affect their performance. If they had not had enough sleep and haven't eaten well that day, then they may feel too tired to perform, so this impacts their performance. Also, if they are having a bad day, or maybe went to the gym the day before so their muscles are aching, then they won't be able to perform as well as they normally can. Motivation can affect performance because if they are not concerned with doing well, or are not as motivated to do well, they might not try their best and so don't perform the best that they can. All of these different factors need to be taken into consideration because they may cause the data to not reflect the true performance of the performer. When giving feedback, the position of the player is important in knowing what areas are relevant to improve. For example, if they are a more defensive player, then the feedback shouldn't focus on shooting. The player that I will be giving feedback to is a small forward, so they are responsible for scoring points, defending and rebounds. As they are involved in lots of skills, then the feedback that I would give should cover all these areas, as they are relevant to their position. The first way that I observed the performer was by using notational analysis, which is a quantitative form of analysis that looks statistically at the performance indicators and the success rates with which they are performed in a game. The specific performance indicators I looked at were 2-point shots, 3-point shots, layups, offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds. Some of the indicators focus on the attacking responsibilities of the small forward position. The first 3 indicators are concerned with the scoring responsibilities of the small forward position, and the offensive rebounds is concerned with the retrieving the ball when your team has missed a shot in order to have another go, whereas the latter focuses on the defensive role of retrieving the rebound after the opposing team has tried and failed to shoot. These graphs show a visual representation of the performer's performance of each of the indicators, shown in the blue bar, compared with another member of their team, which is shown in the red bar. From the charts, you can see that compared to the more experienced performer, they didn't perform so well because the number of times they successfully completed the performance indicators was significantly lower. The schematic graph shows their movement around the court, so you can see how they ranged across the court and covered a lot of space during the match. The next way that I observed the performer was by using the technical model, where I analysed their technique of the box out and rebound and compared it to what is considered the perfect model of the skill and how the skill should be completed. These pictures compare the stages of the skill, preparation, execution and recovery, and compare the performer's technique to the technique of a professional basketball player. As as the person they compare to is a professional, it can be assumed that the technique is the right way to complete the box out and rebound, and by copying their technique, it will also make the performer successful in that skill. In the preparation phase, the performer should be blocking the opponent out and turning them around to face the ball, so they are ready to potentially get the rebound. If the ball doesn't go in the net and does rebound off the backboard, then this is where they need to move into the execution phase. This includes them running in to get the ball and jumping to catch it. After this has been completed, they need to recover by landing and then passing the ball to another team player. As you can see from the pictures, their technique differs greatly, so this is likely to be a reason for their unsuccess in the box out and rebound. Lastly, I analysed the performance of their jump with a numerical model, which is a qualitative form of analysis used to analyse performance and technique. It also helps to see what could be improved to improve overall performance. The numerical model focuses on specific elements of the skill, such as the force, power, acceleration, impulse and velocity of their jump, which also includes some techniques of the jump, such as the duration and the different jump phases. From this, I could see how these impacted the height of the jump and the time that they spent in the air. By looking at these elements, it makes it possible to see what needs to be improved in order to improve their jump and therefore their overall performance of the jump. Jumping is relevant to the player and providing feedback for because they are a small forward and may need to jump whilst performing the box out and rebound to get the rebound of the basketball, which is extremely beneficial to their performance. These graphs show the performer during the braking and propulsion phase of their jump, and from the graph showing the height of the jump and time spent in the air can be seen how these factors influence performance. They also compare the performer to that of the group mean and a stronger performer, so you can see that they are weaker in these different factors than the group mean, and this results in a poorer jump. In all the analysis of performance, there were some strengths and some weaknesses. When I analysed their performance using notational analysis, a strength of theirs was their movement around the court, shown by the schematic. However, some weaknesses were the performance indicators. They didn't score any shots, either 2 points, 3 points or layups, and didn't make any rebounds either. A reason that they didn't score any layups or 3-point shots was because they didn't attempt any. However, they did attempt 3 2-point shots but missed them all. Shooting is an essential component for a small forward, as one of their responsibilities is to score points, so this will need to improve in order to improve their performance. Compared to the more experienced performer, they didn't perform the indicators well. The other performer, although not scoring any 3-point shots or layups, scored 7 2-point shots, only missing 1 attempt. They also successfully performed 4 defensive rebounds and 4 offensive rebounds, whereas the performer didn't perform any. This suggests that the performer should try to improve all of these factors, and I will develop a plan in order to improve some of these weaknesses. When using the technical model, I could see the strengths and weaknesses in their technique of the box out and rebound. A strength of their technique was their preparation phase. At the beginning, they blocked the opponent well, stopping them from getting the rebound. They also had a very good stance at the beginning as they were facing the player, in a way that they could see the ball as well. However, some weaknesses were that they didn't place their foot in the right place, as it was before the opponent's foot, which would have made it easy for the opponent to get around them. However, they did pivot around well to face the net and staying in contact with the opponent so they knew their position. These are weaknesses as it made it harder to successfully get the rebound. However, they can be improved by trying to change their technique in order to match the technical model of the box out and rebound in basketball. Despite these weaknesses, there are also some more strengths in the preparation phase, such as once they have pivoted around. They had a very good stance as it is wide and low, making it hard for the opponent to get around, because they also had their arms out behind them in a good position, giving them lots of balance. During the execution phase, the players didn't catch the ball, which could have been for several reasons. At the start of the execution phase, they were too slow to run in, which meant that by the time that they reached the ball, it was already level with their arms, so they didn't jump to catch it. This would be problematic because it makes it easier for the opponent to reach over and grab the ball from them. As the execution phase wasn't completed and they dropped the ball, it meant that they couldn't do the recovery stage as they didn't have the ball. So when they can do the execution phase, they will be able to practice the recovery stage. In the numerical model, I measured different factors in the braking and propulsion phase of the jump. By using numerical analysis, I could see the strengths and weaknesses of the vertical jump. A strength of this was that during the braking and propulsion phase, they had a high duration, which can help increase the impulse of the jump and therefore increase the jump's height. Although this is a strength, some of the weaknesses are their power, force, time in the air, and height of the jump. This needs to be improved because jumping is essential in basketball, especially in the box out and rebound where they need to jump higher than their opponents.